This video is about the Moonstrual Calendar 2020, how to use it, what is it for, how can you get it, and how can it support you in your journey as a woman in the biology of this body. Menstruation is a very powerful phenomenon that is what makes us or gives us the experience of being embodied in this biology of being a woman. It brings this wisdom, interconnected wisdom of holding Prakriti or nature or earth, the universe, in this body and getting to experience the universe's rhythm, the nature's rhythm, Shakti's rhythm or Prakriti's rhythm in this body in a very tangible way. And when I say menstrual cycle, I just don't mean the 4, 5 or 7 days of bleeding, but the entire 26, 28, 30, 32 days of bleeding cycle that a woman goes from the very first day she starts bleeding. Maybe today it could even be as early as 9 or 10 years old, and when she stops bleeding consciously, that could be anywhere from 45 to 60. Between that, she enters into her queenhood or a cronehood. So this entire period of our life, we are moving through the menstruation cycle. And it is so interesting that we never teach our daughters how to chart. Chart the menstrual cycle. So by the time a woman comes to know that she can chart, she's usually, when I meet, they're usually older and have moved through many iterations of their cycle, and there's a lot of disharmony, disconnect from the blood. There are a lot of issues around their menstruation, and I always wonder how is it for a young girl, even before she starts bleeding, to start having this relationship with the moon, because the moon and the menstruation are very deeply connected. When a woman's blood sinks in with the moon, then she bleeds with the dark moon and she ovulates with the full moon. Like right now, my ovulation cycle has just begun, because in 2-3 days we are going to be in the full moon. So it's in the sync form, and I can already feel that blossoming in the body, and the egg being released, and the relational aspect that starts really being present, and this unleashing of creative energy and abundance, feeling of fullness and wholeness in the body. So there is this very powerful cycle that a woman goes through, in which are all the phases of the weather, all the phases of her life, the phases of her day. So there's so many things, and how do you really start tracking this? And I have seen that as a woman starts becoming more and more in tune with the moon, more and more observant of the moon, more and more present to the moon's phases. As the moon is always changing, so is she. She's forever changing because of her bleeding cycle. Every day is a different day, an unpredictable day, an unimaginable day. It's a new day for her when you're on the cycle. And how do you teach this or mirror this or embody this for the young girls in your life, your daughters, your nieces, your granddaughters? So this Moonstrual Calendar, even if you don't bleed, so even a man can use it, because it's all about the moon. So you get to see the moon, and you can, this time I've given a little space for noting down your moods in each cycle and seeing which phase of the moon you are in, and observing what's in the body, the sensations and the felt sense in the body during those cycles. I have given as much information as I can, and some of this might feel like Greek and Latin to you, because this wisdom is so infinite and deep, and I usually do it over a workshop, like a whole day or 2 weekends, and sometimes even a whole 4-day conference. Even at the end of it, it feels less. So give yourself the opportunity to just sit with it and start working with it, playing with it. You have the entire year to go deeper into your blood cycle, to understand its connections, make note of repetitive patterns, repetitive relationships, repetitive moods, feelings that keep showing up, and when they show up, and what does that mean? And so what is the longing? What is the wanting? How do you meet your longing? How do you meet your wanting? Your needs? How do you meet your needs? Do they have a room? How do you feel safe? When do you feel connected? So, and how do you honor that? So these are some of the things that you can start observing. So I want to go into the moon calendar. So, and it is, the size of the moon calendar is A3, that is A3 or tabloid, which is 11 by 17. In India, it is a little more than 11 by 17. So that's the size you print. So from this year, I have made it free. You can download it, get it. And the only thing I ask is that when you print it, please send me a picture of you using it, because that's very important so that more and more people can know about it. So let me change the window here. Yes, so that's the moon calendar. That's how the calendar goes. This is the entire moon calendar. And these are the areas that I've given now so that you can chart. Yeah. So if we go here, I want you to really look at it when we go closer. Yeah, so this is how the moon cycle is. If I maybe make it a little smaller, where you can see the entire calendar on a page. Yeah, so if you see here, so you can see on the top is the dark moon right here, right? And you can see I've given all the phases of the moon in the outward. So the moon moves through a 30-day cycle. It's actually 29.5 days. So this is the dark moon. Then slowly the light starts coming. So we are today on 12th day. So we are here. So we are actually entering the mother phase of abundance and Mahalakshmi phase. So 12th day. So 11th day was Ekadashi yesterday. So 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th day is the full moon. So sometimes some days are shorter in the moon phase. Okay, so they get repeated across days. So the full moon is on Jan 11th, as you can see here. It's on Jan 11th. So these are all the dates of the full moon. So these are all the dates of the Ekadashi. So I've given the 8 crucial points. So, and the remaining you can assume. So say you bleed on, you start bleeding today, so that would be 12th. So you would go to here, so it will be Jan 7th and 8th. So this is where you will start putting your red, okay, based on the dates. So the inside is where your red would be. So that would be the mark for the first. So this is where we start from. December 26th is when we started. So that was our last dark moon was in last year. So from there, this is how we move. So you can see, so we move. So there are 13 moon cycles that are there for you, starting from, it starts from 2019 and then we move into 2021. So that's the cycle. So this moves through this. And you can see 4 colors here. So those are the 4 colors. If you can see, there are 4 colors here. And what do these? So okay, before that, I want to share that the moon. So this part of the moon, which is coming here, it is actually called as the Shukla Paksha. Shukla Paksha means the brighter phase, the fairer phase or the lighter phase. You know, when light increases, that's the Shukla Paksha. It moves towards full moon. And as full moon ends from here, right after the full moon, we start again going into the Pratipada, 1, 2, 3, 4, 15 days of moving into darkness. And that is called as the Krishna Paksha. Krishna meaning dark. So it's the dark phase and the light phase of the moon, Shukla Paksha and this. And there are different dates which are extremely important. So if you look at it, A moon phase, the entire moon phase also mirrors the entire year in it. So whatever seasonal changes we experience, very similar to that, we also experience within the moon phase. So if you look at it, I have given, and the day, so I've given that. So dark moon, when a dark moon happens, it is very similar to the midnight. Yeah, it is similar to winter solstice. That means it's extremely cold, cooling, dark, deeply dark, restful time. So midnight is a time to rest. There's a lot of processes happening inside the body. There's a lot of restoring, rebuilding, rebirthing happening, and it is equivalent, if you see, over 64 years. When we move into over 64 years of our age, especially for a woman, that is when she really becomes open to the dark moon phase of her life. And so that is what is symbolized by the blue color here. Yeah, the blue is representative of the crone phase. Like if you can look here, time to retire, go inwards, rest, rejuvenate, restore, energy, rebirth, goal. So you can see it is this is that phase which is we move from retire, withdraw, surrender to restore, rebuild, rebirth. And then the birthing. So it's 1st February is the midpoint, so you can see, which is called as Imbolic in the Vika tradition. And in India, that is where our spring begins. It usually begins in February. And so it's equivalent to the 3 a.m. time, which we call it as Brahma Muhurat. And it is, in the moon language, it is the Chaturthi, the 4th day of waxing. If you look at the lunar goddesses, then Chaturthi is the day, the 4th day of the moon is the day when some very hard truths, harsh truths start getting that's revealed themselves. It is a day to look into your own mirror. And that's when, if you can see, from deep darkness or coolness, there is warmth starting to happen. So there's light beginning from the 4th day of the moon. There is more light in the sky, in the night sky. It is very similar to, so that is a time to prepare, plan, build resilience, create boundaries, things like that. So this phase is actually birthing. And this is our young self, the maiden, the young girl, 8 through 16 years of age is where here. So this is, if this is 1st of Feb, then this is exactly the midpoint of the moon, which is the 8th day or the Ashtami, which is equal to the 1st quarter of the moon. It is called as, it is a 16 years of age, 8 to 16 years of age of a girl, young girl. And this is also the spring equinox. And so when the moon again moves, and this phase is actually connected to the pre-ovulation period. And this is the dark moon. So this blue period that you see, that is where, if you're synced with the moon, this is where bleeding happens. Then this is where you start moving. Slowly start waking out of into your body, replenishing the body. So this is when the womb, the layers starts happening, so that it is getting ready for the egg to be released. So this is building up. So this is, and then you move into this phase, which is in yellow or orange, or it could be red. It is the earth's phase, the abundance phase. It is connected to summer. Summer, if this is spring, then this is summer. Summer is when everything is abundant in nature. There's creation. Nature is in full bloom. The flowers are blooming. The trees are fruiting. So all that we envisioned and wanted to, that we shed and made space for, that is visioned and then created here. It begins that first process of manifestation here. So this is connected to winter solstice, and this entry, this gateway of entering into the summer solstice is always marked by the Ekadashi. And it begins with the 12th day. So Ekadashi is, after spring, where spring is about spring cleaning, cleansing, rejuvenating, clearing. So Ekadashi is in the moon cycle, great day to fast. Clear your system, prepare yourself for the intensity of the full moon that is going to come. So that is Ekadashi, and this is in the year cycle. This comes somewhere around 1st of May, so the May Day, May celebrations are around this time. The Navaratri, the spring Navaratri happens around here, around the equinox time. And then we have the Ekadashi, and then we move into full moon. So full moon is right here. It is about, we moving towards full moon is analyzed, refined, realigned. So you can see all these words that I've given. Again, after full moon, there's again the Krishna Chaturthi that comes. The 4th day again comes. And that is connected to in the year cycle. It is the same time as we are making our way into fall. So it comes around August, right after. So this is summer solstice, which is in June. This is 1st of August, and then we move, and this is again a new phase. So the mother phase or the abundance phase is now receding. There is more darkness going to start increasing. So light is beginning to recede, yeah? And this is where again we have the Krishna Ashtami, or again a half, where there is a balance of yin and yang. And that is the intention, that is the thing to reflect on. And this is where we also have in the year cycle, which is mirroring the same energy, energetically. The 8th day of Krishna Paksha is the fall equinox, which in the northern hemisphere is in September, and in the southern hemisphere it is in March. And that is also when we have our Navaratri, our fall Navaratri happens here. So, and from there again you move. So from here, so this is connected to, if you look at the day cycle, this is connected to 6 p.m. and this is 6 a.m. So this is dawn, this is dusk. This is 3 p.m., this is 3 a.m., this is 12 noon, this is 12 midnight, this is 9 a.m. And then we from here, from 6 p.m., we are moving into 9 p.m., which is time, as you see, is again cooling down. So this is picking up pace, fastening your pace, and this is slowing down, really slowing down. So by 9 p.m., you're ready to go to sleep. You're already preparing. You've dimmed the lights in your house. So this is how the melatonin in the brain gets the opportunity to be released. So all the organs, the reproductive organs, the digestive organs, the excretory organs, all the organs are supported to do their job as we go into sleep. And again here, this 9 a.m. is akin to Ekadashi. So this is the Krishna Ekadashi, Krishna Paksha Ekadashi, which is very similar to the end of October, 1st of November. So this is when we have in US, we have the Day of the Dead, the remembrance of ancestors, because now we are going into a deep, dark cycle. So that's where in India we do our ancestor reverence here in the Mahalaya Amavasya, and in Kerala it happens even earlier. So these are the phases, right? So we are moving into deep darkness here when the earth almost, so when we come here, this mid-December to mid-Jan, this phase, which is very similar to the dark moon phase, this is when we stop everything. It's the Margai month. We are not doing weddings. We are not. It is the Sagittarius. I don't know what is the word. Yeah, I think it is Margai. So that month, lunar month, when we don't engage in any austerity, we don't engage in any auspicious events like weddings and celebrations, decision making, all is halted. So this is almost the belief that the earth is menstruating. Life is menstruating. So it's a deep, deep, deep pause that is taken. And again, so this is the beginning of Dakshinayan. This is the beginning of Uttarayan. For some, this is the beginning of Uttarayan, and this is the beginning of Dakshinayan. So this is a chart. So as you can see, there's a lot of wisdom here, which you can read. And what does it mean as you chart your blood? So I feel that blood, the blood in its energy is connected to So blood in its energy is connected to dying, death, withdrawing, surrendering, and restoring, rebuilding, and rebirthing. So something that needs to be shed, that needs to be released, that is what is unwanted, unserving, physically, emotionally, in your psyche, your intellect, in your relationship. That is the time. As you bleed, you also shed. So you have to see when you're bleeding. So for many women, because now we are so out of sync with moon's rhythm because of excessive light in our lives, excessive TV screens, the stress, very busy, fast lifestyle, this need to have a very thin body. So all the pressure that we put on our own body and on our fat in our body, that we lose it, all those things affect our painless bleeding. Yeah, and a processed food, what we eat, grief held in the body, pain held in the body, trauma held in the body, all this very dramatically affects the moon cycle. So you may find the moon moving around and maybe taking time. And what do you receive? So if your moon, say you bleed here, yeah, so if you're bleeding in this phase of the moon, the green phase, which is connected to the maiden, which is a time to prepare, plan, build resilience, choosing direction, commitment, growth. So you will see that there is, in that moon cycle, there is something that is showing up for you here. Maybe something when you were a young girl, you were not taught to keep boundaries. You were not, some of those very young girl things are being kindled and brought to the surface. And this is that as you bleed, it is time to let it go. Find the softening and the kindness in you. So softening and kindness, these are kindness and softening is very important for a pain-free menstruation, to find that in our body. And if you bleed here, so this is the energy, the energy is about the full moon, our ability to create something, manifest something, and realign, receive something, so where is that? And this is also connected to our relationship with the mother, and the mother in our own self, the great mother. So this is that. And then you come here, if you bleed around here, then bring your attention on what is it that you need to release. Sometimes what is here starts showing up here. This is also the queen phase in a woman when she kind of starts entering 40 and moving ahead. It is about fully claiming herself. So she bleeds for herself, her body is hers, everything is hers. So by then, if she kind of, entered here having a baby and growing, this is the time when the baby would be ready, the child would be ready to leave the home, and she has the time to do her own visionary. So this is the visionary in the woman. And whatever you do here doesn't matter. When you enter 40, 42, this visionary phase of you is going to come in a very dramatic way, in a way that you have never experienced before. And it usually fully opens up when you have done the work here, when things that are pending here, unlooked here, trauma and grief in this phase of your life is fully met with. And then this phase really opens up. And when this is all, when you start really living it, this is actually the navigation towards death and dying. You're preparing your own death, for your own death. This is the journey of Inanna, the descent of Inanna, and emerging back as the queen of dead. This is where she emerges back, and this is where she enters into cronehood. So this is when the bleeding will start, around this time anywhere. So this is again that phase of retiring. So you start looking at, do you have room for retiring, withdrawing in your life? How do you move through your life? And this is when, if there is immense pain and things like that, it's not normal. Pain is not normal. We have been made to believe that pain with menstruation is normal. It is really not. So if that starts happening, instead of popping pills, we also need to start tuning back into our body to find our own lunar compass. So this is the journey, and I have given this, if you can see here, so there is the 13 moon cycles listed here with the dates, and for each I have the maiden, I have demarked the phases. So for each phase you can start making note, how do you show up in this time of the month. So just look into, the date is given here, the entire date is given here, so you can look here and see which is that phase, which are those dates of the maiden and the mother and the queen, and how are you showing up in that. So you can start really exploring this. Yeah, so this is the moon calendar. It's a PDF and a JPEG file, whichever you need you can ask me and it will be sent to you. And I hope that you chart. And I have seen women regaining back their own lunar compass, finding a deep healing in their menstrual blood. So I would invite you to keep a journal along with this calendar and start making notes on your own journey and what shows up, and go inwards than outwards. And I hope that you have fun charting. So if you need this calendar, then please email me at shestandstallproject@gmail.com. Just because you write it in the comment, I'm not going to send it because I miss it. So I don't want to miss anybody. So just email me. And when you receive the calendar, you will have to print it on a A3 or tabloid size. Print it in color. Otherwise, it's not fun. It's not that expensive. You just have to print one for the entire year. Print it in color. Go to a good quality printer. And then send me a picture of you with the calendar. If not you, at least your first blood dots on it, and send it to me so I can post it here and share this video with them. The way you can give back is to pay it forward, give it forward, share it with more and more women, and have them send a picture to me so that I can post it. And as more of us start tuning into the lunar rhythm, our own blood, and as we start synchronizing, we also begin and orchestrate and initiate a very powerful, expanded cycle of healing, remembering, reclaiming our own self. And in that process, we also bring a deep healing for the earth. And I feel this is one of the great ways that we can start shifting, bringing major shifts on the planet, is as women release their grief, their rage through the blood, through coming back into your menstrual cycle. So if you have any questions, feel free to write to me, email me. That you can write it in the comment, I will answer. And I look forward to hearing from you and hearing your stories of charting the moon. Please write to me throughout the year as you use the calendar, new insights you have. That way we can all grow together with our collective feminine wisdom. Blessed be. And may we remember that we are changing every day. And may we create more and more awareness and more holding for the changing me in the body, in my feeling, in my creative impulse, in my relationships, in my intellect, in my thoughts, and in my spirit. So have a beautiful, blessed day.